Hi, everybody. So I have Dotan and Tavel here with me today, and they make all this amazing clothing. And we're going to talk about the Galactics today, but we're also going to talk about you have a project going on because you've been out there with the fires. So tell us about that.
This is I'm Tavel and this is my dad Dotan and he founded Galactic Federation of Light, which is essentially a clothing brand to, cater to the people who are on another level, spiritually, mentally, like with their souls, with their knowledge, and looking for a clothing line to like represent where they are at in their spiritual evolution. Recently, we lost our home in the LA wildfire. And right now, we started a campaign to give back to our community. I think the most beautiful thing that came out of all of this was people showing up and giving and really connecting again on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level. So we created this campaign called Rise from the Ashes. And essentially, for every product bought from GFL, we will match and donate an item to somebody in need that's been affected by the LA wildfires. So if that sounds like interesting to you, if that sounds in alignment and you want to support people who've been affected, check us out at Galactic Federation of Light and bring light to the people who are experiencing darkness and are going through a tough time right now.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I was
Well,
on a roll there.
Great
great
project.
explanation.
I have my days, y'all. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So, I went ahead and purchased some things today because I've been really wanting them. And also because I turned 55 this month. And I was like, okay, I have to have the 555. So that was another reason. But yeah, so I purchased the yellow sweatsuit basically. And anything we can do to give back and help, I think is beautiful. So I will have a link below. And we're going to talk about the Galactics today too. I think
Yes,
they're going to be able to get in on some of the help because I think they're about to be revealed soon, kind of feels like.
really.
Yeah.
Tell us about that because lately we've been seeing little bits and pieces and some information comes out here and there.
Mhm.
What do you feel is going to happen?
Well, I feel like basically we've had a lot of different things going on in the sky. So we've had drones, we've had angels, and they're the ones who look like a liquidy thing, like a round liquidy, um, I don't know, entity. And then we've had the orbs. And then we've also had a lot of UFOs. So I mean, my husband has seen an ET. I've seen ETs. I think it's time for people to start seeing ETs a lot more. And I think as Mr. T comes in, things are going to change pretty rapidly. So I'm excited to see what happens. But to me, it feels like that's the next step. And it will probably be galactics that look more humanoid.
okay.
So probably like the Pleiadians or the Andromedans. The Andromedans, they're fairly purplish. So I don't know. I feel like they will be in on the reveal though. I keep getting that. So we'll see. But I had a vision a long time ago of something really funny. Have you ever watched the Simpsons movie?
Yes.
Yeah, so when they're basically on this they're looking at the dome and there's a big screen, a big TV screen that appears.
Yeah.
So I saw that before I even watched that movie. I saw that in the sky and it was Trump and like Michael Jackson and a couple of ETs.
Huh.
And they were having a conversation about the world and what was really going to be happening. So, I mean, will that happen exactly? That was a while ago, so we could have flipped timelines, but we will see something rather impressive, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I'm ready, especially after
Yeah.
those fires. We're ready to see something different.
Yeah. We're ready for change. And it did clear out a lot of negative energy in that area, but it's really hard when that happens. Really, really hard. Yeah.
And how can individuals like maintain spiritual resilience and find meaning amidst like, these wildfires and like these devastating current events that are happening?
I think just remembering to take care of your own body during this time is really important, and kind of being as centered as you can, and also letting go of attachment, which, you guys have done that really well. The attachment that we have to things, and also thinking, well, if I don't have that, then the world is over, because you're going to go on, you'll have a new experience, you'll have a new home, and things will work out. And if you have that outlook, then it works out faster and it
Right.
comes easier. Yeah.
That
And is there a specific practice you would recommend for people, or?
Well, if you're out where you are, um, if you have access to nature and it's not too cold, then I would ground.
Right.
So I would ground, I would sun gaze. If you don't have access, then I would take baths with salt.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that you can get grounded in the bath with the salt water.
A lot of people have been doing this ritual visualization meditation where, mass people are coming together to visualize rain in California
Oh,
and pouring rain and bringing rain and channeling the rain goddess or whatever it is that they are doing. And I thought that that was really cool, especially if a lot of people do it and come together. I think that's so interesting. And yeah.
yeah. And you can totally do that. I mean, when I was a kid, I would do a rain dance and then it would rain, even if the sky was blue. So
Really?
you can have that happen. Yeah, you're manifesting. If you totally believe it, then it will happen.
Honey, we need you to do a rain dance for LA.
Right here in LA.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. That's amazing.
Well, we can definitely try and send rain. So at the end of this, let's do like a 1 minute of quiet, and we'll concentrate on rain.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what is like the current role of the Galactic Federation of Light in assisting humanity through this period of both ascension and chaos?
To hold the frequency.
Mm.
So I talked about this the other day, but you have the souls, which give out the solar energy. I mean, it's really soul energy and frequency
Okay.
that's being pushed through the sun, because that's not a real sun, it's a construct sun. So they're pushing that through, and the galactics are trying to hold those frequencies longer for humanity. So they're really doing their absolute best for us. They're working on our bodies at night. They're helping with our consciousness. Sometimes we have a counterpart, like another fractal that's on a ship. Sometimes we will visit them at night. There's so much going on. It's just wild.
Can I ask a controversial question?
Sure.
Why would these alien extraterrestrial beings care so much specifically about Earth and our humanity when they have their own planets and galaxies? Why would they care about the human race and what we're doing or not doing here on Earth?
Because they see the whole picture. So the whole picture is that there's many soul groups, and what we're doing right now is we're ascending the universe. So not only is humanity ascending as a soul group, but the entire universe, and God is elevating, because 3D and 4D won't be attached anymore. So basically, we're going into a higher frequency altogether. And the lowest hanging fruit has been humanity and humanity as a soul group. So everybody is here to help humanity ascend
Hmm.
because it helps the entire universe and it helps the whole group consciousness. And that's why they're all here. So we are the focus right now. And that's why so many big souls came down and they're here as a guide to the human part of this body. Because you basically have a human soul, which is like a toddler, like the youngest soul group. And then you have a big soul that's like a Pleiadian or an architect soul or an angelic soul. You know, you have one of them in the body as a guide. So that's where your big intuition comes from, is from the older soul
Hmm.
that's within the body. And it's basically like a parent and a child.
So are all extraterrestrial species on a higher level than us? If we look at, for example, the reptilians, are
Draconian.
are they still in 3D, or how do we look at it?
Yeah, a lot of those timelines are like peeling off, and most of them were gone already. Now there are hybrids. So let's say somebody has a human, half reptilian, then they will probably still be here depending on what consciousness they choose. And they weren't all bad. Some of them were good. But the majority of them here on Earth were bad and negative towards humanity.
Hmm.
So most of them were, the reptilians were 4D, and most of the groups like the Greys and the Tall Greys and the Draco and all of that, they were 4D. So 4D is like the bridge to 5.
Uh,
So basically, the fourth density is the chaos density. But they could see more of what was actually going on. So that's how they were able to manipulate humanity, is because they could see things that we couldn't see. So,
Are
but
are
that's
are they
been,
stuck? Are they stuck in a fourth dimensional density?
they're in fourth density, but as fourth density goes completely, they will not exist anymore. So anything that hasn't ascended into fifth density will not exist
But
eventually.
again, isn't the Galactic Federations of Light, or GFL, goal is to bring everybody together and raise everybody's frequency?
It totally is, but you also have free will. So if somebody doesn't want to go, then they won't. And they choose that as a soul group, like as a collective, and then also individually. So there's been some really old souls that had helped with all the manipulation here on Earth that are now gone. And they could have been billions and billions of years old, but they didn't want to heal. So they basically had to go. And that was part of the spiritual, I don't want to say the W-A and R word, but that was part of the spiritual thing that was going on. And it all starts with the souls. Like if the souls didn't work out their stuff, then nothing would have happened to work it out on Earth,
So,
because that's
so,
the reality.
so
Is
we as mankind made a conscious or unconscious decision to raise our frequency. We chose that,
yeah, we
even
did.
though not everybody's aware.
Right, but a lot of people are holographic, we have to remember. So the NPC really didn't have, like, some of them have a human consciousness and no big soul. So they're just kind of operate on programs. So this is somebody who could be very smart and they could maybe help you with problems, but they do the same thing every day. They only listen to people on the outside of themselves. Like they're not running their own life, really. And if you've ever seen a holographic person, which is very weird experience, they they seem like a robot, but there's different versions of them. And the NPCs, like, you could be alone on the beach, except you're like, well, I don't want to be alone on the beach, so I'm going to invent that there's 20 more people here. And they're part of your consciousness. You just don't know it. So it's a really hard concept, honestly, the NPC concept. I think kids get it better because they play video games.
Uh,
That's so interesting. Like for me, I have this like, weird thing with grocery stores where like I've been telling my sister when I go in there, it doesn't feel real. It feels like a movie. It feels like everything is fake. The product, and I start getting like really bad anxiety, and I just hate going to grocery stores. I always think that there are NPCs just everywhere. I'm like, no one's real. Like this and that. So yeah, and then I'll go to a mall on a random Tuesday if whatever, and then I'll see people sitting and like typing on their laptop. I'm like, what are they doing at a mall on a Tuesday? There's no way. They're fake. They're here to like fill in the space.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Tavel gets it.
the well gets it.
Yeah.
I'm highly suspicious of everyone.
That's so funny.
But then it's like it raises so many questions like, okay, you can go to a bar and if it's like filled with NPCs and then you end up talking to somebody, then you fall in love with an like what? Like how is that? That's crazy.
Maybe consciousness jumps into them.
Hmm.
Like a lot of times, if you're dealing with like a homeless person, usually they've been through a huge amount, that homeless person. So they're kind of wide open to being inhabited by somebody else. And a lot of times, angelics will pop in to give you a message if you're talking to a homeless person.
Hmm.
And then other times, maybe they have a shadow, when if there's someone that's like addicted to something.
Yeah.
Because when you're participating in some sort of addiction, a lot of times you're not really present in your body. So your body's getting inhabited by other things.
For sure.
So
And I think
people,
that
yeah.
sorry, please finish.
Well, people like if you are in a high timeline, then the people around you will elevate if they're supposed to stay in your realm.
Hmm.
So when we start to see souls versus bodies, that's going to be a game changer for our reality. Because that's what we don't see right now.
Hmm. So we look at the vehicle all the time, but we don't. The next chapter for us is to see soul to soul.
Yeah, to see the driver. So you basically you have a human and you have another soul group, somebody that is teaching that human how to ascend because they've ascended over and over. And so you've got two people in the front of the car, and then you got the body, but you only see the body. You only see the vehicle. Yeah.
Hmm. So
Kind of
looking
crazy.
at the examples out there,
Yeah.
I want to jump to like, as a society, we learn to or condition to really look at the celebrities. And in the past couple of years, what we're seeing is the fall of the celebrities, is the fall of those almost like false idols that we have created. What's your take on it? Where do we go with it?
To me, it's the end of hierarchy.
Mhm.
So, like, you have president, or you have like the leader of a group, or you have somebody on a stage that's saying, this is how I dress. This is what I do. These are the brands that I use. This is my new thing. This is how you need to look.
Hmm.
And
Without
kind
even
of,
think,
yeah,
right? Is it?
designer clothes, looking a certain way, looking very, very thin, looking, I mean, a lot of them are men and women's clothing. So having a body construction that all of a sudden women want when it's not really achievable because you don't have that body structure, that's straight up and down and extremely thin. So there's a lot of stuff there that they have programmed in, and then all of the weird stuff that they're doing on stage, you know. Um, I don't know. There's just, to me, it's like that hierarchy system has to go away. And as we learn how to communicate in the future, it's going to be more of the round table, more of everybody has an equal voice, and we're going to work out what's best for everybody, you know? And that's the way community is going to work. And the more intuitive that we become, the easier that's going to be, because the ego will get put aside while you decide, okay, it's better to have the water system work this way, or let's build over here versus over there, even though this one person wants their walk to be shorter to this event center or whatever we're creating. Like that kind of thing is going to be like what works best for everyone. And I think that's how we're going to go forward. And that's why the government is going to shrink, because we don't need that. You know, taxes are going to go away. Like everything is in the process of falling down, falling apart. And
Yes,
yeah,
and we love
LA
that.
is a big part of that.
LA is a big part of it.
For sure.
Mhm.
And I think, people often say that LA harbors a lot of dark energy and like sometimes, those really dark energies that we see with like rituals and stuff, and that certain illumination group. But I I I can see personally, having grown up here, having been in that party scene and like been around those people that might be like, you know, um, have those entities in them, those darker intentions. And like now my
Mhm.
life being so different, having gone through like whatever I've gone through and like spiritually evolved, like matured in both age and like wisdom, I think, now my reality is a direct like reflection of that. Whereas like those peoples and like structures started to fall away. And I also feel like societally we're coming back to self. And for so many years we're looking for like external validation, reading the celebrities in magazines, following them on Instagram, like you said, having to look a certain way, think a certain way. Even with the presidential election, the celebrities telling you which way to vote and think and this and that. And people, especially on like a platform like TikTok, which encourages dialogue and like free thinkers and like
Mhm.
other ways of thinking, as well as like pushing a certain agenda, of course. um we're just seeing that sort of movement away and like questioning those people that were untouchable in the past. And I
Mhm.
think that that's really beautiful, and I can't wait to see a more group and community focused perspective. Also, I don't know if like religion fits into that in any sort of way, but my sister and I were talking about like morality and what really, like, what is our ethic code to like being a good person? Where do we learn that, like, right from wrong? Most of the times through religion, and now we're moving towards a more like scientific approach and like a godless society. And like, do you think we're gonna move back into like, a religion based belief? No.
No. I think that people are going to realize that God is within them and not on the outside of them. And the part of, their experience, their God experience, because we all have a fractal of God within us, or you could call it source or the universe or whatever. That is your source of your information, your intuition. It all starts with you. And I think people are going to realize that because sovereignty is a big theme in Ascension. Like it's taking back who you really are, because humanity has been taught to always look outside. And church, as good as it is in some ways, it also has taught people to look outside. So when you're listening to somebody tell you what God thinks or what God says, you're not thinking about, well, what feels right to me?
But
Because you're the version of God that's supposed to be experiencing.
I love that. But just to play devil's advocate, what if somebody who has, a fraction of God in them says, it feels right to me to, do heinous crimes and like commit atrocious acts towards other people? Like, where does that fit
Well,
in?
that's happened. That's been going on for, thousands and thousands of years. And that's why the third and the fourth density are leaving this universe, because that's the frequencies that promote those ideas. And also, like, have you ever heard like a voice will come into your head and you're like, what is that? That's negative.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you think a negative thought about someone
Yeah, yeah.
or just about life in general. That's usually like a negative version of you is whispering in your ear, like one of your shadows has popped up. So that shadow is probably someone who has experienced a lot of what you just said, like behaving more negatively. And they just need to be forgiven and go home, because we've been in a polarized universe where it was push and pull and friction. And that's how we were learning. And we're not going to learn that way anymore. So all of those learning experiences that were really hard, they're going to turn into more thought-based learning. And okay, so if we did that, then what would happen, you know? And being really blatantly honest with the other people, I think too, will become a thing, where we've been taught not to talk about what we think for years, especially like people in college and school have been taught, oh, well, don't offend anyone. Guess
Yep.
what? The years of speaking your mind, they're coming, and you don't have to do it in an offensive way, but I'm sure somebody will be offended along the way.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I have a weird question for you guys, because what you just said made me think of people who think outside the box and speak with, just unfiltered. Do you think
Mhm.
that people that may have been born with or diagnosed with either schizophrenia or like autism, do you think that they're actually tapped into something that we're just not yet seeing, or maybe some people are seeing? And like,
Mhm.
what do you think about that? Do you think that they're actually like enlightened and like further ahead of us, and maybe we just don't understand how to communicate with them yet? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, have you heard of the telepathy tapes?
No.
No.
So autistic people are actually communicating with each other through telepathy.
Really?
And it's been proven. And that came to me like 3 years ago. I was talking about that with people who had autistic children, but they have telepathy. So they're actually communicating and they're on a higher level in some ways. And then in other ways, like with the physical, it's harder for them. And I think that a schizophrenic is more like somebody who sees all of their fractals. So they can see all of the parallels going on at once, and it's overwhelming.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Didn't even imagine.
Yeah. They don't know how to control it.
Huh.
I like that explanation.
Me too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Concise, concise.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's just wild. I mean, all of the experiences that we've had over the last 4 years have been pretty intense, I would say, for most people.
Yeah.
So,
So we spoke a little bit about the drones before. Some people are saying it's Project Bluebeam, some people are saying it's real. What do you think?
I think it's both,
Okay.
actually. Yeah. And it depends on your timeline. Like some people are really afraid of all of it. I'm not, I don't have any fear of that stuff. Like I don't feel any fear from that. And that I feel like as the lower timelines go, most of that fear is going to go with it. So, and those are people who are choosing not to ascend in their body. And a lot of people are choosing to leave the planet right now too.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
we do see a lot of death,
mhm.
illness around as a result of few
Yeah,
things.
yeah. And there's a lot of different reasons and it can be very surprising too. Like a lot of people, like there was somebody that recently passed who was very young, and I think that they just went into a new body. Like they had another experience that had to happen. So that was their exit. And we've also been purging a lot. Like people have had a lot of upper respiratory issues, just a lot of illness. And those purges are also when people choose to go. So,
So it feels like we're gonna go through a bit of a rough time uh collectively in the next year or so. What do
I
you
think over the next few weeks, yes, maybe even the
okay.
next month. I think it's going to get really shiny after that. So things are going to change really rapidly. Now, the disclosure might be kind of icky for a lot of people, but if you already know about it, then you can move on to the next thing, which is the rebuild. You know, rebuilding society in a way that's better for humanity. And I think that's going to happen really quickly as well, like projects and humanitarian things and all those changes are coming really quickly.
Okay, so you feel that it's gonna happen in the next few weeks, like a lot of shaking and moving and purging and then
Yeah,
we can find the silver
intensity.
lining.
I do see that. And I see it happening as soon as Mr. T is either been put in office because of some kind of event, you know, which that would be very quick because that's not very long from now. Like that's Monday.
Right.
Or it could be directly after that. Like could be some sort of event. There's just things that could happen over the next few weeks that I think could be intense for people. but I think that'll smooth out really quickly,
And
especially if you already know about a lot of stuff.
what about the people that don't know about all this stuff? Don't you feel that they will need support in any kind of way?
Yeah, they'll need support. They will also get to see the good stuff happening at the same time. So that will help them. But there's going to be a lot of people freaking out. Yeah. But they will be in a different timeline. And most of the lower timelines that have chosen not to ascend in their body will be split off from us. So we're not going to feel their energy,
So like they
you
die.
know. Some people will pass away and some people will just be in their own timeline for a while,
Right?
continuing to, but we won't feel it anymore. Have you guys ever felt like you wake up in the morning and then you go out and all of a sudden there's really not any traffic when normally there would be, just feels really quiet?
Right.
That's moving into a different timeline. So you have landed in a new timeline and it's not populated yet.
Hmm.
Honey, I
And
want to be on the no traffic kind of timeline. I really like that timeline.
yeah. So that will be where we're at. Like I don't see the population being very big because a lot of the NPCs won't be needed anymore.
Hmm.
So you won't need a whole plane full of holographic people in order to go on a plane ride anymore.
I
So,
al- I always thought that like the systems collapsing would take years and like I don't know by like 2035 like we would start to see like major shifts and like you're saying that it can be as quick as like a few weeks.
well, I think we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel in a few weeks.
Right?
And a lot of us will be given the opportunity to start figuring out our humanitarian projects in a few weeks.
Right.
You
So
know, a matter of, spring, could be earlier. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Hmm.
I have like my thing, my little dream now is really, like how you drive in LA, I'm sure you've been around or anywhere, and you see all those billboards, and all those billboards want from you is to consume
Yeah.
and watch and look at that and buy this Yves Saint Laurent or Louis Vuitton and this and that. And I just want to have a project of ours. I really want to get to that soon, that we can
Hmm.
have a billboard with messages to people, not buy, not consume, just like a message for people to be like, hmm. If you had a billboard right now on Sunset Boulevard in LA, what would you write?
I would say you are loved. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because I feel that that's what people need on a certain level. They need that encouragement. They need to know that there's things beyond all of what we see out there. And I just
Yeah.
want to send them messages. So yes,
I love that.
right. Isn't that a
Mhm.
great idea? I want to do that, and hopefully with the help of people that will support us to buy billboards and put messages to people just when they drive, that they're magical, that they're
Mhm.
beautiful, that they're capable, that they need to shine their light, not to be afraid to shine their light.
Yeah.
People will see that instead of all those billboards that make them think that they're not good enough, they're not beautiful enough, they're not famous, whatever it is, that they need that bag or that t-shirt or whatever it is to be something else. You don't need to be something else. You just need to shine who you are.
Yeah.
Imagine that all over the country,
Hmm. I love it.
right?
Yeah. And well, that's going to be the one of the main things that people get to learn, because their own worthiness is so important for the future of like the world.
Right.
If you don't love yourself, how are you going to truly love anybody else? And how are you going to basically go through the world with unconditional love? You're not going to know how. So it's one of the biggest and most important messages is to love yourself.
Right.
Mm.
So, let's be agents of change altogether, kind of like what you're doing, helping people realize where we really live in, what's really going on, because there's a lot of facade, there's a lot of veils in front of our eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Things will change gradually, but the higher the timeline you're in, or the more open you are to change, then the faster the change will be. So, like, people that are like, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to the World's Fair that Mr. Trump was putting on in Iowa, which I think you guys should definitely go. So, in Iowa, in late May, I think is when it's starting on Memorial Day. It's either Memorial Day or Labor Day, but it's starting, and that's going to go for over a year, I think. So, what is that going to be? Who's going to be interested in that? That's going to be the people that want to see the new technology, that want to create change in the world.
Right.
And they're going to go there and be massively inspired. And then they're basically reprogramming themselves for change, because they're going to see all the things that can help things change. And they're going to be gathered together with people of the same frequency, which is also going to create more change. So, those kind of things, like, I think that was the most brilliant idea that the White Hats had, because that will bring in something new and beautiful, whereas the old will be falling away. And just like those big corporations are falling away too, and those big fashion brands that were not nice are falling away, and the movie stars are falling away, like, all of that is just kind of going to disintegrate, and we will have something else to look at,
And
which is
and
really
that will
cool.
be exciting, right?
Yeah.
Be so exciting. Like
Innovative.
everything is going to be super fresh to the eye, to the soul, right? Everything is
Yeah.
just going to be fresh.
Hmm. It'll be amazing. And the technology that's coming out now is even getting more amazing, you know? Like, there's people that are creating water engines on TikTok, and Elon has one, which obviously that's not new technology,
Right. We
but
knew it was
it's,
in
yeah,
existence.
it'll be integrated. So we're going to be able to use that, and then we're going to have flying cars, you know? So it's
Meet the
fun.
Jetsons.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. I mean, it's time to have fun too. We've been really serious for the last 4 years,
We've been serious.
and really focused on we have to help this happen. Well, we're there now. So we're just going to watch the stuff fall apart, and we're going to create the new. And some people may pay me more attention to the things falling apart. But if they are, then it will take them longer to get into the newer stuff, you know? But that's their choice. And I think a lot of people are going to flip pretty quickly into like, oh, well, I have, these new things in the kitchen, and life has become easier, and I don't worry about money anymore. And I get to have a garden, and I only work 20 hours a week, People will have life first and then work.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be really beautiful, especially for certain countries that have been like worked into the ground.
Here,
Yeah, the US is one of them for sure.
sure. We've been conditioned to, this is the Western world. You work, you work, you work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
all this process of peeling off all these conditionings, it's probably gonna be kind of like heartbreaking, hard. How did because it cannot just happen overnight, honey.
No, but it's been happening for the last like not even 4 years, probably the last 10. So the light, whenever the new sun came in, so we had the little yellow sun. Now we have this big white sun. So the little yellow sun is usually hidden behind the white sun, but every once in a while it pops out. So it's like, oh, somebody screwed up the program today. But that white sun has been pushing out codes that basically hit our bodies and go through our bodies for years. And I feel like it came in like 2019, 2018. I don't remember when it really came in, but I remember sitting there with my husband outside and saying, when did the sun get so bright? Like it's blinding. It's like, what's going on? And he's like, I don't know, but I can't stand it. And he's been saying that for years because he worked outside before all the time. He was always outside and he hated it because he was always sunburned. He was always hot. He was, but basically he was experiencing the white sun. And that is where the codes have come in, the different frequencies for people to basically let go. And it's harder if you're only relying on the sun to do it. If you're not going inside and dealing with your own emotions and trying to ground and doing different things for yourself, if you're not doing that, then you're going to be in a timeline that's slower.
Hmm.
So that's who's like, basically a little behind in a slower timeline, but it doesn't mean they're not ascending.
Do you think that that's why our memories from childhood almost feel and look different, like in our heads when we're outside playing, almost like a filter is on them versus like how things look now, now that I'm
Mhm.
thinking about it.
Yeah, and words. I forget words all the time. I'm like, what was that word? You know how you do this and you do this, and I have to create a whole sentence because I don't remember what the word is. Like, that's normal. Yeah, because we're letting go of things that don't matter anymore. And we have telepathy now too, if we use it. Like Tavel and Dotan can be talking to each other. You could practice the telepathy if you wanted to,
So how are we gonna do Zoom calls?
Zoom calls. I don't think we're gonna need them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna go be like, oh, let's take the train and we'll go over there, or let's take the flying car and we'll go over there, and I'll see you in 20 minutes and we'll do a conversation and we'll put it out for people. Or we'll create a class or do whatever. I think it's going to be more interactive. We're going to get to see each other in person a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of which, when you were talking about the World Fair, I was thinking about conscious people gathered together, and I was wondering if you're going to be at the Conscious Life Expo.
Mm, I don't know. When is it?
It's February 7th to the 10th, and every
Oh
year
no.
and we meet people in our community. There's speakers there. It's really powerful. you know, having that many people gathered in one place.
Hmm.
It's a little chaotic at times, but we
Should
always.
be.
Yeah. I'm not going to go to that this year, but that sounds really fun and I would love to do it next year.
I'm sure they would love to have you as a speaker as well.
It would be fun. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all of us who are talking in the world will be kind of traveling and talking or traveling and teaching something. Like, even though I have a project that I want to do that's stationary, I feel like we're going to move around the world and kind of share our own consciousness and meet our own soul groups. And, you know, when you meet somebody that's in your soul group, it feels like coming home.
Mm.
Like, it's an amazing thing. So the more that you meet and then you realize, like, oh, I know you and I know exactly what you're saying. And there doesn't have to be any interpretation. It just makes life so much easier. And I think that a lot of us will start to really experience that this year. So,
And for me,
and I've been lucky. I've had a lot of it already. But
and what do you mean by soul group? People that are just aligned on the same frequency?
no, I mean somebody like if you're an angelic, then you will meet more angelics. And you'll have a conversation and there will be like it's almost like you're doing telepathy because it's so easy. Yeah. So there's a lot of angelics, there's a lot of architect souls, there's a lot of ET souls. There are some Titan souls, there's not as many. The dragons have come in a bit, so there's some dragon souls, and there's lots of elemental souls here. So meeting your soul group is so much fun
Mhm.
because there's no translation needed. Yeah. And it feels very comfortable. So
No,
it's like you could sit around in your sweatpants and eat pizza and have a conversation that lasts for like 5 hours and you're totally happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
No filters needed, no, you know, holding back and being like, what would they think if I say this and blah blah blah. Um,
Yeah.
Pretty beautiful.
It
And
is
I'm
beautiful. Hmm.
excited for, you know, since COVID, we've been in sort of like an isolated connectivity, meaning like we're connecting with people online, like we're connecting with people over Zoom, and I'm excited for like real world connections to come back, friendships to be easier to be made, and like
Right.
third party places where, you know, for me and my age group, I'm not on any dating apps. Like I can't align myself with that, but dating has become hard because I don't want to go to those places where I don't want to meet someone at a club or like a bar, like, you know what I mean? So like meeting people, I want that to be easier and flow and connection and yeah, I think that that
Hmm.
is really exciting.
It's really exciting. Yeah. And there'll be a lot of gatherings.
Right.
So, you know, Mia does amazing gatherings. The expo that you guys are going to go to, that'll be an amazing gathering. People are going to gather in nature quite a bit, I think, and do learning there. And then there's going to be a whole lot of learning centers. Like a lot of the people that I know that are really gearing up for projects, they're doing similar projects. And it's all about art and all the arts. It's about self-sustainability. So like learning new tech and learning how to build your own house and, you know, all that kind of stuff and healing. And then it's going to also be about the kind of rewilding of children, letting them be who they really are and learning from them. That's going to be another thing that probably comes up in the next year or so, that kids are going to get to be their real selves
Mm.
and not have any more indoctrination at all. Even through homeschool, I feel like homeschool will start to morph as well. And then schools will pop up that are kind of like that. They called it the school, but it was connected to the Ringing Cedars type of idea. So if you haven't read the Ringing Cedars books, they're so amazing. And basically, like, we're part of nature. We can do so many things, and kids come in with all the knowledge. We just cover it up. So it basically kind of gets knocked out of them because they're not taught how to keep it. So that's not going to be the case anymore. Kids are going to be listened to, and they're also going to be able to retain their knowledge. That's going to be amazing because they're going to be teaching us.
Because we come here with so much knowledge that we
Mhm.
suppress on many levels, right?
Yeah, just to fit in with the physical, because the astral plane is all about magic and light and creation and sound. So the whole universe is like the souls are out there creating things and doing things, and the ETs are out there making things, but we don't know that here. So we haven't been able to see it, but now people are starting to see it. And usually it's just with their third eye at this point, but every once in a while you'll catch the matrix with your regular eyes. So when you see the matrix, when you see the grid pattern or you see the number pattern, just like in the movie The Matrix, you're elevating, you're upgrading, and you're starting to see the real reality because it's created, it's a construct.
So every time we will see a pattern of mathematical pattern.
You see mathematical patterns, you see like a honeycomb pattern, some people do.
Yes.
Yeah. Or
In
you
the
see a grid
sky.
pattern. Yeah.
I've looked into
That's
the
the matrix.
I saw like it looked like a kaleidoscope, like all of these.
Yeah.
Right.
I was, I was,
That's what it is.
yeah.
Yep. So everything is constructed so that we can experience this. And what we're doing is we're bringing the body back to the 5D because humanity was created in 5D. So the body is being upgraded continuously so that the human soul group has a body.
Okay.
So it's a pretty exciting time. I mean, I'm really excited for the future right now.
Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are.
It'll be amazing.
What do you think about things like ayahuasca or other psychedelics, to reach enlightenment or like deepen enlightenment or
Plant medicine.
yeah. What do
Yeah.
you think of that?
I think do it with somebody. If you're going to do that, do it with somebody who's really experienced and is willing to babysit you, depending on what you're going to do. Microdosing is very a benign way to do it, but also a great way to release trauma. I've never done ayahuasca, so I don't really know. I know it's a more intense version of plant medicine. So if you haven't let go of your traumas, you're probably going to experience them. And I
Mhm.
think that mushrooms are similar to that, but it basically gets rid of the veil.
Yeah.
So you can see everything. So plant medicine, I think, is beautiful as long as you're not trying to do it all the time. So especially the green plant that a lot of people are smoking. I think doing that all the time is probably not good
Mm,
because you're in an altered state like all the time, and that doesn't feel good. And also, it's hard on the lungs, just like smoking. Yeah. So, and I think, I don't know if this is true, but when I was in school, they would say, oh, it's 3 times worse than smoking. So it may be harder on the lungs, but also it's medicinal in some ways.
Yes.
And a lot of stuff was ceremonial to start out with. So that was ceremonial. Tobacco was ceremonial. All of that was basically like a medicinal thing that you would do once in a while. And I think that that's totally fine. You know, a lot of this stuff wasn't poisonous until it was put in the hands of somebody who was altering it, too. Because some of that stuff is so much stronger than it used to be, or it has chemicals in it that used to be there.
Altered and crazy stuff.
Yeah. So I think right now the safest ones are probably the ayahuasca and the mushrooms, honestly.
Right.
But, you know, if you're doing something else and you're aware of your product that you're getting and you're doing it once in a while, then that's totally different too. Maybe you grew your own tobacco plant, you know?
In our community gardens.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a great ceremonial thing that a lot of people, shamans and stuff, and in other countries, it's not the cause of lung issues either.
Right.
Right.
So, what is getting added? You know,
Yeah.
honestly, I think seed oils and sugar are probably worse than anything else.
For sure.
Hmm.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we got a lot of things to expect for coming. So
yeah,
Right.
I expect a lot of really cool stuff to start happening. So, get
yeah,
excited about it, I'd say. Yeah.
it is exciting. And
Hmm.
like I said before, it's exciting to see how amazing people are and how human beings are just rising up and standing for each other. So it's really amazing to see that. So
It is.
please, everybody, believe in mankind, believe in your neighbors, in your friends, because they will step up. Once you believe, once you give them that credit, they will definitely step up.
Yeah. People will really step up now. And we've moved through a lot of the different like betrayal and all that kind of stuff
Right.
that's happened over the last several years. It's kind of over now, and we've come together to be families again.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly how it feels. Like we
Hmm.
cleaned all that energy already.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Thank you guys so much. This was great. And I hope to see you again soon. And I'm going to put your link below for your project. And also, you know, if you guys like this clothing, I love it. It's organic cotton and it makes you feel good when you put it on because it has special frequencies. So if you're interested, the link will be below.
And
And
use code.
we're going to take that minute too
Yes.
and pray for
Um,
rain. So let's just close our eyes, everybody. And let's do it the way that Greg Braden experienced it the first time that he prayed rain. So basically, what you want to do is you want to imagine that you're barefoot and imagine that your feet are in the mud and you can feel the rain coming down on the top of your feet. And then you can feel the rain coming down on the top of your head. And you can feel it coming down on your shoulders. And we're asking for this rain to be directed towards California and to clear out more of the energy and to let people see all the things that need to be revealed and to make everything wet so that things don't need to be burned anymore. And we're just going to ask that that be delivered and that the universe bring it right to LA, right to where the fires were, and to just clear everything out. And we're not asking for a flood. We're asking for a calm, continuous rain, and to see a bit of mud, and then for it to go. That feels good. Okay, you can open your eyes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love,
So
thank
you
you.
loved it. You're welcome. Yes. So we'll just release that to the universe and let the universe bring it back.
Thank you. And thank you
Thank
again for a
you.
beautiful conversation.
Oh, it was
And
so fun. I love these talks. So we'll do it again soon.
do it again.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.